Hello, welcome to Anita the Pedagogue channel. Today, we want to look at a poetry analysis of the poem The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. This poem actually is a request from one of my subscribers, Aruch Mashi. So I hope that you absolutely enjoy the analysis. So for our lesson objectives, we are going to look at a biography of the poet, the title, the structure of the poem, a stanza by stanza analysis, the literary devices in the poem, the themes, and I will share with you some likely examination questions. Now let's begin with a biography of Alfred Lord Tennyson. So, also known as First Baron Tennyson, was an English poet. He was the poet laureate during much of Queen Victoria's reign. In 1829, Tennyson was awarded the Chancellor's Gold Medal at Cambridge for one of his first pieces, Timbuktu. He published his first solo collection of poems chiefly lyrical, and that was in 1830. He was born on the 6th of August, 1809 in England, and he passed on October 6th of 1892 at the age of 83. He is an English poet, often regarded as the chief representative of the Victorian age in poetry. Now we'll move and look at the title, The Eagle. This particular title gives an impression that the poem is certainly about the bird eagle and also its prowess or abilities. This gives the reader or audience an idea about the poem's content. Indeed, the poem highlights and appreciates some unique abilities of this bird. The eagle was actually inspired by Tennyson's travels through the Pyrenees. Now let us take a look at the poem The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. He clubs the crag with his crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world he stands, the wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. This is a very simple poem. Now let's first look at some of the vocabulary in the poem. Clasps. This also means clips, catches, or grasp or hold tightly with hands. So he clasps means that he grabs or holds tightly. Crag. Crag is a cliff, a mount, or a rock face. Crooked, curved, bent, twisted. We have azure. It is the color of the bright blue sky. Wrinkled means covered with lines, having lines. Crawls means creeps or move at a snail's pace, very slowly. Thunderbolts, a clap of thunder, a flash of lightning, or a quick action. Having looked at this vocabulary, let's go on and look at the structure of our poem. This poem is a two-stanza poem with 6 lines. It is a very simple poem. Each stanza has 3 lines known as tercets. So you can see that each stanza has 3 lines and they are known as tercets. It is a romantic poem. Romantic poems are poems that appreciate nature, and so we realize that looking at the title, The Eagle, everything in this poem gravitates towards appreciation of nature and the bird eagle. It has a rhyme scheme of an A-B-B pattern. So just as I've highlighted in the words in the first stanza, so in the first stanza you would see that hands, lands, stands, All these rhyme, and so they are represented with the first alphabet, which is A. And then in the second stanza, the words crawls, walls, and falls are also words that rhyme. And so we represent that with the second alphabet, which is B. And that gives us the rhyme scheme of AAA and BBB. So the first three lines have the end rhymes hands, lands, and stands. And the last three lines have the end rhymes crawls, walls, and falls. So, in summary, the Eagle is a romantic poem, a poem that appreciates nature and is meant to draw us to the love of nature. It is a two-stanza poem in two sets of three lines known as tercets. Each tercet follows a rhyme scheme that conforms to the AAA-BBB pattern. In addition, the poem also makes use of the metrical pattern of iambic tetrameter. This means that each line contains four sets of 2 beats, known as metrical feet. The first is unstressed, and then the second is stressed. So let's move on and look at the analysis for stanza 1. So for the first stanza, the first line actually, the poem begins by personifying the eagle, which is actually the title of the poem, by referring to it as he. The speaker goes on to describe the fierce manner by which it grabs the cliff with its claws, which is described as crooked, implying its shape because the claws are at the feet of the eagle, and that is what it uses to hold things, and is actually not straight, so no wonder it is referred to as crooked. Also, claws are referred to as hands by the speaker, and we know that birds or the eagle doesn't have hands, which shows that it is personified as well. The crag, which is a mountain or cliff, also indicates the geographical area the eagle lives. In the second line, the speaker continues to describe the eagle as being close to the sun, which is quite an exaggeration, but it shows the eagle flies very high and far, which usually other birds and creatures do not reach or even live at. This is evidenced by the mention of lonely lands. So if the land is lonely, it means that it is at a place where there is nobody. So it is a lonely place and it's only the eagle that lives there. In the third line, the speaker describes how royal and majestic the eagle stands, surrounded by the blue bright sky. That is the azure world. And azure is the blue bright sky color. As if the world is his crown. It's ringed, and you know a ring is round, so that is how the eagle is surrounded by the azure world. The use of the word stands personifies the eagle and presents the eagle as having some authority as well. The eagle is a strong bird which symbolizes beauty, bravery, courage, honor, pride, determination, and grace. Now we'll move on to stanza 2. In line 4, which is the beginning of stanza 2, more details about the eagle's environment is highlighted in this stanza. The sea below him, as he is on the cliff. The sea is described as wrinkled, marking time, because the sea has been there since the commencement of creation. And also it could be a description for the waves, because the waves are usually in lines. Again, the movement of the waves of the sea is described as a slow movement, which in the poem is termed as crawls. In line 5, the eagle is described as having a powerful sight as he watches from his mountain walls. He must have good eyesight to be able to see from such a high distance. In addition, he is given the ownership of the surrounding of the mountain, which is the walls, as they are his. So it means that he actually owns that territory. The eagle owns that particular place he resides. And that is way above the earth, like in the higher heavens, close to the sun. In the final line of the poem, line 6, there is the use of simile to describe the swiftness of the eagle to a thunderbolt, which happens in a flash. This the eagle does while falling to catch its prey. So, this is a very simple and very interesting poem. We want to quickly go on and look at the literary devices. So, there is the use of personification. Human attributes have been given to inanimate objects. Example, he claps the crag with crooked hands. So here the eagle is given he, not it, and also the ability to have hands when the eagle actually has claws and not hands. And also he stands, because usually it is human beings that would actually give these kinds of attributes to. There are also some rhyming words: hands, lands, and stands from stanza 1, and crawls, walls, falls from stanza 2. There is also the use of symbol or symbolism when one idea is used to represent another. So the eagle stands as if lording over the lands below him. The eagle is a symbol and it represents a clear image of power and knowledge, as well as the traditional meanings associated with eagles, that is freedom and bravery. There is also the use of alliteration, and alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in words. Usually it is a sound device, so to create some form of music. And the words clasped, crack, and crooked all begin with the consonant sound k. Also, lonely and land, these begin with the consonants and so it makes the poem a bit musical. Also, there is the use of hyperbole, and the hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration. So the expression close to the sun. So this particular device emphasizes this eagle to not be a simple one, but one that can even be close to the sun. We all know the sun is so hot, nobody can get close to it. So this definitely is an exaggeration. There is also the use of simile, because here the eagle's action is compared to a thunderbolt. So like a thunderbolt, he falls. The manner in which he falls is described as being so swift, and so the manner is compared to how quick a thunderbolt usually happens. Simile also suggests the sudden quick action of the eagle, or the way he dives probably to catch its prey. The use of imagery. So imagery is when the five senses are evident in the use of some words. So azure appeals to our sense of sight, because azure makes you picture the bright blue sky. Also, like a thunderbolt he falls, it makes you also imagine how fast and quick, imagine how the thunderbolt usually flashes in the sky. Also, there is a use of simile, like a thunderbolt he falls. So there is the use of simile to describe the swiftness of the eagle to a thunderbolt, which happens in a flash. Now let's look at the theme of the eagle. So one key theme of this poem is strength and nobility in and of the natural world. The speaker gives a vivid description of nature. He zooms on the prowess of the eagle, its ability to soar high in the sky that's close to the sun, and how swift it moves like the thunderbolt. Shows how the eagle is so strong. Again, In spite of its prowess, it has set itself apart from the other creatures of the world which seem below him. So this also reveals to us that nature or the world does not only revolve around humans, but also the many other creations in the world. The mention of the sea, the crag, mountain, sun, and the beauty of the sky, that's zero. All this shows that the world is not just for human beings, but for other creations as well. And as a romantic poet, Alfred Lord Tennyson put together this poem based on his own experience to let us know that the world is for all of us and the need to appreciate nature. Here are some likely examination questions that you should definitely try your hands on. I hope this lesson was useful. Put in your comments and questions and I'll respond to you. Do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Until I come your way again, keep learning and be the best version of yourself. Don't forget to also send in the poems or other literature you would like me to do some analysis on for you.